Have you ever woken up already tired? Not the I stayed up too late scrolling kind of tired. I mean that deeper, heavier feeling. The kind where you open your eyes, the day hasn't even started yet, and somehow your brain is already sighing like, yeah, this again. You haven't answered a single message, haven't made a decision, haven't done anything wrong, and yet you feel like you've already used up half your energy. Most people assume that means something simple. You didn't sleep enough. You need more coffee. You're lazy. You're unmotivated. Maybe you just need to push yourself harder. But psychologically, that kind of tiredness doesn't usually come from your body at all. It comes from your mind waking up before you do and immediately clocking in for a job it never gets to clock out of. Let me show you what I mean. Imagine your brain as a phone. You plug it in at night, you sleep, the battery technically charges. But the moment morning hits, before you even unlock the screen, there are already 20 apps running in the background. Worries, expectations, unfinished conversations, future tasks, old regrets, that one thing you forgot to reply to 3 days ago. So yes, you slept, but your mental RAM is already maxed out. And when you wake up tired before the day starts, it's often because your brain never actually rested. It just went into low power mode while still monitoring everything. A lot of this has to do with anticipatory fatigue. That's the exhaustion you feel, not from doing things, but from thinking about doing things. Your brain is incredibly good at time travel. It jumps forward into the day ahead and starts simulating everything that might be required of you. Conversations you'll have, decisions you'll need to make, situations where you'll have to perform, explain yourself, stay polite, stay sharp, stay emotionally regulated. And your nervous system reacts to those imagined demands as if they're already happening. So when you wake up and feel tired, it's often because your brain has already started spending energy on a day that hasn't arrived yet. And here's the part no one really tells you. This tends to happen more to thoughtful people, to people who care, to people who are mentally conscientious. If you're the kind of person who thinks ahead, who anticipates problems, who tries to be prepared emotionally and mentally, your brain is always running simulations. That's a strength, but without boundaries, it becomes draining. Another huge piece of this is decision fatigue. Even before you get out of bed, your mind might already be sorting through choices. What should I do first? What if I don't get everything done? What if today goes badly? What if I mess something up again? Your brain hates uncertainty, so it tries to reduce it by overthinking. But thinking itself costs energy. And when you start the day already negotiating with yourself, your energy drops before you even stand up. There's also something more emotional happening beneath the surface. Many people who feel tired before the day starts are carrying invisible emotional labor. You might be the person who holds things together, the one who remembers, manages, anticipates, supports. Even if no one asked you to do that explicitly, your brain learned at some point that staying alert equals staying safe, so it never fully powers down. For some people, this pattern comes from anxiety. For others, from burnout. For others, from growing up in environments where you had to be on all the time, where relaxing felt risky, where rest didn't feel earned. If your nervous system learned that mornings mean pressure, responsibility, or emotional performance, your body reacts before your conscious mind even catches up. That's why this tiredness feels different from physical exhaustion. Coffee doesn't really fix it, motivation videos don't really touch it, because it's not about energy levels. It's about nervous system load. Think about it this way. Your body has two main modes, survival mode and restoration mode. Survival mode is alert, tense, focused on what could go wrong. Restoration mode is relaxed, present, able to replenish. When you wake up tired before the day starts, it usually means your system is waking up straight into survival mode. No warm-up, no transition, just immediate vigilance. And here's where it gets interesting. This kind of fatigue is often misinterpreted as laziness, especially by the person experiencing it. You might think, why am I like this? Other people wake up energized. What's wrong with me? But psychologically, what's happening is not a lack of drive. It's an overload of drive without recovery. Your brain is trying too hard. There's also a subtle grief embedded in this feeling, a grief for days that feel pre-spent. When you wake up already tired, it can feel like the day is already decided, like you're stepping onto a moving treadmill instead of into open space. That sense of here we go again isn't just exhaustion. It's a loss of novelty, a loss of agency. And humans need a sense of fresh possibility to feel energized. Neuroscience research shows that motivation is deeply tied to dopamine, and dopamine isn't actually about pleasure, it's about anticipation. If your brain anticipates stress, obligation, or emotional drain, dopamine drops. And with it, your sense of vitality. So if mornings feel heavy, it might be because your brain doesn't see the day as rewarding. Not because you're broken, but because your system is being honest about its predictions. Another layer here is identity fatigue. If you're constantly performing a version of yourself for the world, mornings can feel exhausting because they mark the moment you have to put that identity back on. The professional version, the reliable one, the calm one, the productive one. Even identities we're proud of take energy to maintain. This is especially common in people who are emotionally intelligent. You read rooms, you manage impressions, you adjust yourself to situations. That skill is powerful, but it also means your brain never fully relaxes into I can just exist. So waking up means switching the monitoring system back on. What's fascinating is that many people who experience this kind of tiredness are actually very capable, highly functional. They get things done, which makes the exhaustion confusing because on paper, they're doing fine, but internally, the cost is high. And here's the reframing that changes everything. Feeling tired before the day starts is not a sign that you can't handle life. It's a sign that you've been handling too much for too long without psychological rest. Rest isn't just sleep. Rest is a state where your brain isn't anticipating, evaluating, or bracing. And many people don't get that state at all. Not during the day, not at night, not even in dreams. So what do you do with this awareness? First, you stop moralizing your tiredness. This is huge. The moment you stop telling yourself, I shouldn't feel this way, your nervous system already softens a little. Self-judgment is just another background app draining your battery. Second, you give your mornings a buffer, not a productivity routine, a psychological buffer. Even a few minutes where the day doesn't get to rush you yet, where you don't immediately check messages or mentally rehearse tasks. This isn't about discipline. It's about letting your nervous system wake up gently instead of slamming it into alert mode. Third, and this is subtle but powerful, you ask yourself what your brain is expecting from today. Not what you expect, what your brain expects. Stress, criticism, overwhelm, emotional labor. Just noticing that expectation can loosen its grip, because expectations feel inevitable until they're named. And finally, you start treating your mental energy as something valuable, not infinite. You don't owe the world immediate access to your attention the moment you wake up. You're allowed to arrive into the day slowly. Here's the quiet truth underneath all of this. People who feel tired before the day starts are often people who feel deeply, who think deeply, who care deeply. Their exhaustion isn't a failure. It's a signal, a message from a system that's been doing its best to protect, prepare, and perform. And signals aren't enemies, they're information. So the next time you wake up and feel that familiar heaviness, try this instead of fighting it. Pause, breathe, and say, okay, something in me is tired. Let's listen before we push. You don't need to fix yourself. You need to understand yourself. And if this feeling resonated with you, I'd love to hear how mornings feel in your own head. Drop a comment, reflect out loud. You're not alone in this experience, even if it feels that way at 7 a.m. And if you want more deep dives into the psychology behind everyday feelings we all quietly carry, stick around. There's a lot more to unpack together.